everybody. Okay, what time we got? It is 6:02. Quorum. We just have a quorum today, which is great. But it appears we do. Should we do a roll call first?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
Commissioner Banerjee, not here. Commissioner Benjamin, not here. Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Vice Chair Pieta, not here. Commissioner Katz, here. Commissioner Smuggler. I always mess up your name, sorry. Yes, here. Chair Helmholtz,
Here.
we do have quorum.
That's great. All right. Allegiance. Here we go. We pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice. Okay. Let's start off with public comments on items not on the agenda. Anybody?
We don't have
Anything today? Okay, great. All right. We can move right forward then to consent calendar. We need to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 29th. Does anybody, do we do a motion for approving the minutes or just say?
Yeah, who wants to, I'll motion approved.
You have a second? Second. Thank you. Lee,
And then everybody, unanimous?
everybody in favor? Yeah.
Good.
Okay, and then moving on to discussion items. First one is work plan. It sounds like we will debrief on the meeting from last night, talk about council feedback, talk about the work plan subcommittee, which I think is me tonight, and obviously Stephen and Art. And then we can go through the rest of the agenda, which includes talk through the work plan calendar. Okay, great. So I think everybody here was also at the meeting last night, so that's great. So our debrief can start from the understanding that everyone was in attendance for that last night, and that was great. Thanks everybody as well as a first order of business. That was really great and great engagement with council, and everybody contributed to that. So thank you for helping us prepare for that, have that go well. I think my sense of, I think everybody knows what we talked about was accomplished in 2024. Everybody knows what we talked about going on in 2025. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about, the few things that we heard from the council. I heard from Council Member Meadows, former Mayor Meadows, who was our liaison last year, that they really appreciate and believe it's important that our commission exists, that we are able to engage with the public and work on these issues that are complicated, issues where they acknowledge that not everybody's going to be happy. Somebody's going to be feeling like they didn't get the exact outcome that they wanted, and that's just the nature of what we're doing. And council appreciates that our commission is there to sort of work with the public and work with our city staff and work with our consultants and everyone else, and just get the best outcome that we possibly can, like we tried to do last year. I think we heard from Councilmember Weinberg, former Mayor Weinberg, who was also saying something similar, which is that, we have to really dig into the nitty gritty, dig into the technical details, and our commission has been doing a good job of that. So that's great feedback to hear too. I think those were the main points that I heard from commission or from council. I'm trying to think about, there were a few things that I think we wanted to maybe get more specific feedback from council on a few things, but I think you guys know as well as us that 15 minutes goes pretty fast. So it's hard to have a fulsome sort of conversation with council in that time frame. But I think we did get some good, sort of guidance from them and appreciation from them. So that was great. And they approved the work plan. So that's positive too. So we now have a finalized work plan, and I think we can talk Art today about if there's anything that we need to do as a commission, just say, that is our work plan.
Well, I'll definitely have our commission webpage.
Yep.
So I'll make sure we fill that in with our work plan.
Yep.
So everybody can see that. So
Perfect.
I will
Appreciate
do
that.
that next week.
Awesome. Great. Well, maybe just as the first order, if other folks want to add anything about their impression of the meeting, or anything about your impression of council's feedback, or any of the discussion, or even just anything about any other commissions or anything that's top of mind for folks about that, let's do it. Tom.
So one of the gentlemen there in the meeting with, the office meeting with the mayor on, for that, in the morning. And I was telling Stephen about it, and the guy was talking about he had some other plan. The mayor was listening, it's kind of a hybrid thing. And I just wondered if that came about more, because he was talking about like he was gonna talk to you guys, or the mayor was gonna reach out to you guys too about that.
You know, who was that, Tom? Who were you talking about?
He was one of the people that shows up at our meeting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But he was also spoke, yesterday.
Jim Wayne?
I don't remember.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it was him, but
Okay.
I don't remember for sure.
Gotcha. And he said what? What was that?
He had a new idea on, maybe how to help some of the, alleviate some of the congestion over there. But
Oh, on Jardine and on the side streets? Is that what you're?
yeah, he had some hybrid thing, and I didn't exactly get what I was gonna see on it, or in the middle of it on, in the, office meeting with him and the mayor.
Got it. Okay.
So I didn't know if he was, because the mayor was talking last night in the city council meeting that he was gonna talk to, I think he's gonna reach out to Stephen and maybe order about that. But I guess that hasn't happened yet.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see if anything comes of that. Did anybody else have any other impressions from the meeting last night? I have a few more things that we can talk through that came up yesterday, but, yeah, anybody else? Yeah, Tony?
So I came away thinking about this as a sharing problem. We have two communities, students, and homeowners, both have equal rights to parking on the street. And it seemed like what we really want to do is to find a way to encourage them to share. So I'd like to propose that we apply the wisdom of Solomon, split it down the middle. What would happen if we just put parking regulations on one side of the street?
Just to let you know, council has already made a decision last night. We cannot change that.
Yeah, so did everybody stay on the Zoom or stay at the meeting through the city council motion to act on the recommendation of staff in terms of parking, Stephen's recommendation?
I didn't hear the motion at the end. I heard much of the conversation earlier.
So the council, Stephen, do you want to report on it, or do you want me to say?
No, I'll go ahead and report on it. Basically, they approved number 3, which is allow staff to go ahead and modify the parking restriction as needed based on the needs. So we could go in and add additional locations. The second was to allow us to do the hybrid between 2-hour parking from 8 to 12 north of Jardine. So the first 500 feet is going to be no parking, and then beyond that, it's going to be the 2-hour parking. Council did not want us to go ahead and make any modification to the no parking restriction on south of Almond. So, yeah, that was the direction I received last night from council.
He's also pushing for permits too.
No, the permit was going to be a future item that they don't know if they want to do a council study or if they want to kick it to us.
Got it.
So that's one thing that we're still waiting on direction.
Right. And then the last thing that I heard, Stephen, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that there was a lot of concern about, and I'm gonna use my own words, not their words, about the shock of things changing without sufficient time to adjust to that shock or notice given. And so somebody amended the motion to say that they didn't want anything to be changed until the effective with the new school year. So whatever changes were approved last night will actually not go into effect until August when the new school year starts.
Actually, the direction that Sally stated was she wants it completed in the summer. So it could be any time during the summer break where we can make the modification. So when they do start, they have to adjust to the new parking.
so then there's still time to discuss it.
Council decision has been made.
Yes, I think the decision's been made. I'll share one thing, and I'm not sure, I guess the best way to do this is to just talk about what I did after the meeting. So I sent an email to the city council after the meeting as a long-term Los Altos resident, not as a commissioner. And, one of the things that I said in the email that I was appreciative of the turnout, actually, even though there were 22 people that spoke. I thought it was a really good balance of the views that we have heard as a commission. And it's clear that everybody that spoke had some real passion in terms of their belief as to what their problem was. And I also said that having attended the 2x2 on the Zoom, that I was in agreement with both the mayor and several of the council members when they talked about the requirement to solve a bigger problem than parking, which has to do with the whole transportation issue around the school as it's grown. And that parking is really the tip of that iceberg that everybody sees right now and gets excited about. And that the only way to do that, I think, long-term and effectively, is with a collaborative process between the school district and the city. And it was very clear in the 2x2 that the city is willing to enter into that collaborative process, and the school district is not right now willing to do that. They don't see it as their priority. At least the superintendent doesn't. And I encourage the council, and maybe it's something that we might want to think about, I don't know, as a subset of at least one or two items on the work plan, to how to actually influence that district. And I think the only way to do that is to have the school constituents, being students and parents, get involved in saying, hey, you guys have to get involved. And I, as a commission, I don't know how we would do that, or whether it's appropriate to do it, but I'll just put it out there as my personal belief that nothing is going to get resolved long-term unless they work together. I was very, very pleased that I actually got a response from several council members, one actually late last night, two this morning, and a response from our city manager, who basically said that he's meeting with the superintendent of schools and is looking for a way to begin to bridge that. So I was optimistic in terms of how the city is approaching that. And I think that's a good thing.
Interesting. That's really great. Yeah, it seems like there's no way that we can really solve the issue unless both groups are sort of, willing to work together for sure. I agree with that. And it's a little surprising to me that they wouldn't, both be willing to work with that. You see, obviously, like representatives from the school at all of our meetings and, engaging with the public. And so, hopefully there's a way that we can make that happen. It's good that, the city manager is making inroads with that. I wonder if there's a way, I am curious, what, if any, role like our commission can have. It is an interesting one to think about. I mean, I think some of the things that are already in our work plan, and obviously the work that we did last year, is engaging in issues that are around the school campus and, involve the school community. And so I think it's possible that, there's a role for us to play. I wonder if there's a way we can think about some of the things that we're already planning to do for our work plan. We could think about ways that those tie into, the issues around the high school, like other forms of, like, we talked about multimodal transportation, like if kids were gonna, or kids and teachers were gonna take buses to and from school, anything other than sort of single occupancy vehicle, things like that. I wonder if there's a way for us to help think about that, or to work with the school, or others there. And I know we had talked about like education efforts, like going out and, talking to folks about ways that they can get to and from school, opportunities for biking or different forms of transportation. So that's just off the top of the head. There may be a more organized way that we can think about that. But thank you for raising that, Steve, and just being on top of that. Appreciate it. One thing that I noticed last night too was just me personally. I heard a couple of the students, speaking as well, and gosh, it's disappointing to hear folks say that they think that new safety issues have been created by the parking issues along Jardin. Obviously we don't, after the work that we put in on that stretch of street, like we don't want to hear that folks are having more challenges now than they were before that was implemented. And I wonder and hope if sort of the changes that Stephen is recommending and that the council adopted could potentially help with some of that. It's hard. I don't know if others feel similarly, but it's hard when you're hearing individual folks speak about their experiences to think about like, well, what opportunities are there for us to impact that in a positive way, and sort of generalize it into concrete solutions. But that was my one impression from hearing some of the public comment last night.
The only thing the only thing that I would caution us about is that the students that we're talking, in some cases are students that are now parking farther away from school than they ever parked before.
Yeah.
And therefore they're walking farther. And what I think about is that where they're parking, all the kids that live in those neighborhoods are not driving to school because they can't get permits. So those kids are walking or cycling to school. And they've been doing that all along. And I didn't hear a single kid who was walking to school from 4 blocks or 5 blocks or 6 blocks away or 3 blocks away get up there and say, this is worse for me.
Yeah.
It's not as safe as it was prior to the stuff. And that's the one thing that I would say.
Yeah.
Is the kids that were talking were a couple of kids who were cycling from far away. And I think we ought to think about cycle routes.
Absolutely.
But in terms of pedestrian traffic, I think that there's an adjustment period that needs to take place. Because I actually believe from my personal observations, and I've been out there not as many times as staff has, but half a dozen, it seems much safer than it was before the commission and the staff took the actions that we took on Jardine and with the initial parking restrictions.
That's great to hear. Yeah, that even as an impression. And and just to be clear, I don't mean to suggest that it isn't overall safer, just that like even hearing anecdotally that some folks experience cycling to and from school is they're having negative experiences that they claim they didn't have prior to that work or prior to these newer parking issues. So anyway, it was good to hear a lot of kind of good public comment yesterday too, anyway. And glad that they were able to reach a decision. Cool. I mean, I think it's good to hear, us talk through, that issue that council worked on last night and that Stephen, you worked on as well. And it's adjacent to work that we did, but obviously we didn't, that was council's decision on the parking restrictions and Stephen's work putting that program together.
I think we didn't do the public comments on items not on the agenda.
We did.
We did. There weren't any. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So I think that's most of what we had for the joint council meeting. Discuss council feedback. Did anybody have anything else on council feedback? I mean, I think we covered most of it.
It's something
Yeah,
else, but,
yeah, go for it.
On the 2x2 meeting.
Yeah.
Logged into, there's three people that were like from the education board, or whatever, was it Los Altos and Mountain View?
NVLA trustees.
Point of
The
order.
district.
Yeah.
Just a point of order. These are items that was not on our agenda, so we have to be very careful
Yeah,
what we
that's
discuss.
what I was about
Okay.
to say, so.
I'm just saying.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
So there was the three people that were on there. Are those elected positions through the,
Yes.
okay, so it's Santa Clara County, is that what they are?
No,
The
no,
district-
school
school
district,
district.
the school district
Yeah, but
board.
what, if they're elected, are they on the public elections like the president, the senators and
Yes,
representatives?
they're on the school district boundary. They live within that boundary, that they actually run for office as a board of supervisor.
Yeah.
Board of supervisor for their.
And I guess they'd be on the ballot of people who are living in the district. Is that right? Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that because if they were elected, because they were a little hesitant to try and help. And so if they have regular meetings, get a lot of the people that were city council meeting maybe to go to those meetings too.
Yeah.
I don't know,
That's an idea.
it's an idea, or even put it out there too if they were elected officials.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. So then going on to discuss work plan subcommittee, I don't think actually since our last meeting, I think we had one subcommittee meeting where we just finalized the actual draft work plan. And then obviously, Art, you shared that around. Thank you.
Yeah, I just put this down because
Yeah.
do we want to continue with this 2025?
Oh, yeah,
work plan
yeah.
subcommittee, or do you want to
Yeah,
disband it?
yeah.
Because if you're gonna continue it, now you don't have as many options, forming another subcommittee because
Yeah.
you got limited commissioners, so.
I would love it if, yeah.
So I know they're not here. but
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
that's-
would love it if Suresh or,
So what we could do is
or
we could bring
Scott
it,
were
we
here.
could bring it back to the
Let's
next
bring it-
commission.
let's bring it back,
And then you
yeah.
guys can discuss if you guys wanna disband it or
Yeah.
continue that, and we can put that as just.
I'm leaning towards disband, but I think we can just hold it for the next month. I don't think
Okay.
that hurts
Okay,
anything.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I do think we've done it and we now have our work plan. So
Okay.
that specific subcommittee strikes me that we don't
That's what I
need it
mean. That's what I
anymore.
was, yeah.
but-
so.
We can just hold it for next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for keeping that on there. All right, I mean, I think that's it for discussion item number 2. Yeah, please, Steve. Yeah.
So is this work plan a dynamic document, or is it basically exactly the way it's written? So for example, if an item changes on the work plan, for whatever reason, do we update that real time so that it is always current? Or is this basically a snapshot in time?
My understanding is it's dynamic in the fact that you can make modification as a situation arise. Basically, the point of the work plan is basically to give council a general idea of what is the commission been working on, where we prioritize. But if other issues come up, we could address those issues. Because at any point in time during this year, council could just basically say, CSC, we want you to take a look at this and come up with a recommendation.
Right. So then my follow-up question is, and this is a question of staff, and not to the commission, although commissioners certainly too, is did we hear anything at the meeting last night, either at the work plan review or at the follow-up meeting, that would cause us to change any either prioritization, status, whatever of the items on the work plan?
Based on the discussion that was had after 11. What council has stated was they're gonna stick with the 5 items that has been adopted as a council priority last year. They're wanting to tweak it a little, but it was not a final decision. They provided provided direction to staff to make minor modifications with the understanding that we're gonna re-present to council on the next council meeting, and they're gonna discuss it and hopefully adopt it.
Okay,
So
so
what 5 items were we talking about? Is that
Business.
the 5 elements of the.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's the one dealing with business, dealing with, our work
Oh,
plan,
yeah.
meets those requirements. Neighbor safety, neighbor circulation,
Council priorities.
yeah, council priorities.
Okay.
So those 5 items has not changed. Housing element was one of them. What they wanted to do is they want to tweak it a little. One of the council member wanted, an addition, but they would like to talk a little bit more about it. So that's the reason why we're not really talking about it right now, because the council has not adopted the priority.
and the one thing that I heard was, of course, we all heard it, was a comment by Mayor Daley about San Antonio being put on hold. Or,
That's what I wanted.
and
But when I heard that, I was a little surprised too. No, based on the meeting that I had with, APWA, who is the national chapter, I think deals with the policy law at DC. This administration is very pro infrastructure, so they do not foresee this being, in any jeopardy at all.
Okay. What's the mayor talking about then?
all right, so we should expand.
Okay, okay.
If
That's
there's,
different than your impression.
if there's an issue with any of our projects, I will let.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no, I think the concern was because the federal government has pretty much locked down on a lot of the, spending.
Yep.
That they think that this is gonna roll into that. And everything I'm hearing right now is this administration is very pro-infrastructure construction. And, they do not see anybody wanting to touch that, because it does generate more, work, business, employment, and so on. Not to mention, infrastructure is aging.
Thank you, yeah, and thank you, Steve, for asking that, because I wanted to touch on that too, because that's what I heard as well, and I was surprised to hear that.
No, we still have our 7.5 million.
Yeah.
7.5 million.
That's great, I mean, because that's a big project for this year, and that could potentially impact Los Altos quite a bit, so, that's good to hear. Okay, great. And yeah, Steve, to your point too, I mean, I think the next discussion item is also discuss the 2025 work plan calendar, so, it's good to talk about that. Yeah, I think, everybody's, been present for the last few meetings where we've been developing this and finalizing it, and obviously we had the city council engagement last night on the plan, and, yeah, I think now that we're through that, we've adopted this, I think we can start to look at some of the specifics and look at, sort of where each of these are. So I don't know if others have, other suggestions about working through this, but maybe we could just go through each goal, for tonight and, see where things are and where we want to take things, going forward. And then the first one was around, the safe routes to schools. And let's see, I have this now. Yeah, absolutely. Art, you shared the most recent version with me, of the list we put together, last year for 2025. Is there anything that we should talk about status? I think, we talked the last time about the subcommittee, but, is there anything that we should talk about status for, each of these?
For the annual street resurfacing? Is
Yeah.
that what we're talking
Yep.
about, the mill overlay and the it's in design now.
Yep.
And we could talk in more when we get to the calendar.
Yeah.
But it is in design, and we're just waiting for some plans, so we
Yep.
can, we could bring it back to CSC, and you guys can look at it and,
Yeah.
provide, feedback and comments.
Yep. Great.
So the question then is, okay, great, and then I don't have a question.
Perfect.
With me.
Yeah, and I think you guys have talked about maybe expecting that to happen when? March, April?
Again, we, you know, we could go back to the calendar, so.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
you
we
want
have,
to, you want to talk calendar?
you
Yeah,
know,
let's
we,
do it.
you guys, are we done with the work plan?
Oh,
We continue discussing that, and then we can go to the calendar next? It kind of goes
oh,
hand in
yeah,
hand,
well, I think, calendars, oh, yeah, work plan calendar, yeah,
Yeah.
I see. I kind of seeing them as,
It's kind of a hand in
Connected,
hand,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
that's, you know, but again, you're the chair, so if you want to just, we,
So Wes, I agree. So are you suggesting we combine item 2 and 3? And we
Yeah.
talk about the calendar and the work plan as a single item?
yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I see them as interrelated, yeah, it's hard to talk about the work plan without talking about like when in time the items are gonna happen and all that stuff.
So I think the question I have is, typically, you and Scott, right, would sit down with Stephen
Yeah.
and Art and lay out the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is, as we talk about the calendar,
let me share the calendar, so at least,
Yeah,
you know,
let's
so
do
we
it,
can
let's do
see what the calendar looks
Yeah,
like.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Put it in the way you.
Yeah, that one, exactly. Let me just share it, so at least
printed it out.
the public can see what we're talking, what we're
Yeah.
talking about. So basically, this is just a tentative calendar, you know, it could move from left to right, depending how things, you know, go by. So basically, I know one of the, I think especially Stacy, she wanted to know, what are we gonna have for the next meeting, you know? So at least
Yeah.
we'll have something like this, so, you know, so it'll be more transparent and we'll know what we're gonna have. So, again, we could fill these out as, you know, you guys can fill out in the commission.
Yep.
Suggestions, we could continue filling these out as we go through the year, right?
Mhm.
So January, we had, you know, basically, we had the joint council meeting was, yeah, right, maybe that was supposed to be in February, but, that one. But, January, we had the environmental commission liaison.
Yep.
And then we had the work plan, and then we had the e-bike ordinance. So we did that part. That was the one in January. In February, so we're doing the work plan now, post joint, and, the work plan calendar. So that was an error right here. I think joint council meeting should have been in February. Sorry about that. I'll make sure I change that. So, in March, next month, we actually got the county to come, to do the county active, transportation plan. They're gonna do a presentation, okay? Spoke with Ben, with the county, and they are coming to present, so.
Great, that's terrific.
So we have it on calendar, now we know that's coming up.
Yeah.
So at least we know what's, you know, I think that's the main thing. We also, as part of that, actually, presentation, we're actually, Stephen and I are gonna be part of the Foothill feasibility study group, working group. They're gonna start meeting, next month. I think it's gonna be, I don't know if it's a monthly meeting or not, but we don't know. They're doing a kickoff meeting, you know, with, Palo Alto, Los Altos Hills, Cupertino, and Los Altos, you know, based on the Foothill. So they're doing that feasibility study, and then we're gonna be part of that working group, so, so that's part of, you know, they're gonna present, and then we're gonna be part of this group that we meet, I think, once a month. I don't know how long, but the kickoff meeting is next month, so.
And Art,
Yeah.
would you expect that would take up most of the meeting in March?
Well, that's what I mean, so we, you know, we can discuss, you know, what else we wanna put on there.
Yep.
But that's just one of the agenda items, at least we know one agenda item is coming up, right? So we could discuss more what we wanna discuss, unless, you know, if Stephen has something to bring up, but, you know, but right now, I know for sure they're coming in March, so that's what I found.
Okay.
And then, I'll just go through this.
Yeah.
So we're planning to have, we wanted the plans, 65% of the plans for the annual street resurfacing in March, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So this is, you know,
We may be asking for a special meeting on this issue.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we might have to do a special meeting, because we wanna get the, you know, get that rolling, you know, with the comments and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
So that's why I put it right here on April. We might have a special meeting set up to have the plans, you know, for public comments and, provide, you know, feedback on those plans for the annual street. So those are the streets, the microsurfacing, the overlays, the striping, so you guys could comment on what, you know, signage, all that stuff.
Yep,
So,
yep.
So it's probably, right now, looking like it's gonna be a special meeting in April, because we can't wait until the end of April
Yeah.
to bring it back to you, so.
Because then you got, what, school goes out.
That,
and then the work has to be done,
so we,
right? So-
well, we gotta get it to bid for construction, so it's,
Yeah.
we didn't wanna be at this point, like, last year, we were, we actually had the bid for construction late. Again, it's looking like we're gonna do the same thing like we did last year, so,
But last year even, like, we had, memory serves, like, quite a bit of lead time where we were able to work with the public, like on Jardine.
Yeah,
right, in
so-
advance.
so what we're trying to do this
Yeah.
year is, if you look at the bottom, there's notes
Yeah.
right there, there's a attendance schedule for, this is just a attendance schedule for
Yeah.
city staff.
Yeah.
We're thinking of this year, actually, going out for the, RFP for the design
Mhm.
of the industry in April.
Okay,
So if we get somebody on board, we might be able to get plans in early fall, right,
Yeah.
Stephen? Which makes more sense, have the plans for the coming year, so we have more time to look at it and stuff like that, so. So that's
That's
kind of,
great,
that's
yeah.
kind of how because we already have the list, right?
Yeah.
You guys already approved the
now
list.
we've got the list.
We already have the
right?
list, it's
Yeah.
easy to just bring,
Yep.
you get it out for bid, proposals, for design, and hopefully have some plans in the fall. So that's the plan for it.
How much of this list for, 24, 25, do you guys think is realistic that we can even develop through design? I mean, sure.
Well,
are you doing all this right
they're
now?
designing all the streets right now.
Yeah, and then do we have enough on the calendar that we can bring to the public and run through for this year?
Well, for right now, in April, like Art stated, all the ones from the 24-25, the consultant list has been instructed to work on every one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're currently working on that.
Yep.
I've asked them to put emphasis on Springer,
Mhm.
because that's gonna be possibly the most complicated and most controversial.
Yeah.
If, depending on how, it's laid out.
Yeah.
So I request that as a priority. All the other minor streets are.
Might be easier.
Pretty
It's,
straightforward.
it's basically whatever's out there is gonna be what we're gonna be put back.
Yeah, yeah.
So, just to kind of let you guys know, so they're currently working on the Springer design. They don't think they're gonna get the design done by end of this month.
Mhm.
They're not even sure if they can get it done by beginning of the month, but they are
Early
gonna
March,
work,
yeah.
they're gonna hope to get it done by mid to late March. So depending on when they give it to us, we either could present it in the March at our normal CSC meeting,
Mhm.
or I have to request a special meeting in, early part of April
Got it.
to discuss.
And that's why I put that
Yep.
special meeting, just in
Absolutely.
case. It
Yeah,
could,
of
again,
course.
it could move to March, which will be great for all of us.
That'd be great,
Springer
yeah.
is More difficult than others.
Springer is a major road.
It's a
It's
collector
a
road.
collector road.
Yeah.
And, the complete street is, very particular on what they would like to see.
Mhm.
Just to kind of give the commission a general idea. The instruction I have asked the consultant to do is narrow the road down a little bit to try to accommodate, slowing the traffic down.
Right.
So instead of the standard 12 foot, we're probably gonna be about 10 and a half to 11 feet width on the travel lane. I'm trying to put 2 foot buffer for the bike lane, and then a full blown,
To really expand the bike lane.
so I'm trying to make sure that we have the standard bike lane with 2 foot buffer as much as possible. If we have enough width, possibly 3. So those are the things that I need to talk to the commission about, as well as get input from the public. So that's why it may be something that is gonna take us a little time to get accomplished.
Yep.
Since I'm on the discussion of Springer right now.
Yeah.
In the 25-26, the list may be modified. I just found out this week that our GIS was maybe incorrect. I'm trying to get clarification on where the boundary line is for Springer.
What line?
The boundary.
Between Los Altos and Mountain View?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, our GIS shows, the jurisdictional boundary is to be the center line of the road. And so when I went ahead and designed the list, I was hoping that there would be another agency that would contribute to the cause.
Mhm.
The line is not where it's supposed to be. So
Where's
because of
the line?
it may be at the property line on the east side.
Oh,
So the whole street may be all ours.
All the way up to J Street. So,
So
what
if
do you have
that's
on
the
J
case, then my budget just got blown in half.
Yeah.
And so there is, I have that, and I also been informed that we may be about $750,000, we may be short of $750,000, the funding may not be as much as we thought we would receive.
Okay.
Stephen is.
And what are, has Mountain View actually pushed back on it being the center of the road?
Oh, they looked at their survey, and they said, no, it's not ours.
Did we reconfirm with our surveys?
We don't have a survey, that's why I'm going to LAFCO and the county.
Okay.
So it's on their survey that it's the middle of the road?
Well, our survey shows middle of the road, our GIS, theirs shows at the property line. And apparently LAFCO and the county is kind of on Mountain View side. So our information may be incorrect.
Right.
So what
Because
was that
of-
information? Is it like 10 years, 20 years, or a year?
I don't know. It could have been something that has been passed on from, years of doing this. I don't know how far.
Resurfaced.
Huh?
The last time it got resurfaced.
Probably.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Interesting.
yeah. So because of that, I may have to redo the list slightly a little bit so that I could get out to getting a consultant on board sooner than later. I mean, this year we're pushing it, but I had to go through this process. So now that we have a list, I could just modify it a little bit, still be able to make the timeline that I'm trying to reach.
I mean, if you look at it from a cost benefit perspective, you've got I don't know about just as many, but you've got a lot of people in Mountain View who would benefit from that road improvement. And, I don't know whether there's a spirit of cooperation there.
Mountain View residents living on the street on the east side of that line, right? Like,
Let me
Yeah, I don't
reiterate
know. Yeah.
that Mountain View is very receptive of cooperating with us. They want to work with us. It's just because of the jurisdictional boundary line, they only have so much they can do.
mhm.
And they do have a project, I don't know if you guys are aware of the project in Almonte, from El Camino to Chase Street. Mountain View does have a project, and I think they have the design done.
They're working on it.
Yeah, and then I think they might go into construction next summer, so.
Is there a way we could see that? I don't know.
Yeah, you go to the City of Mountain View,
Okay.
website and.
Yeah, they said that when they get to a point where they can share with us, and they share with us.
That'd be great.
So,
But it's on their website, it shows.
so what we're trying to do is, we already had a discussion with the city of Mountain View. I've already expressed to them that whatever they decide to do, if it makes sense, we're gonna continue that design all the way through, to Los Altos.
Yeah.
So that there's continuity on the design.
And they're,
That's what we're talking about on site.
and they're doing actually a road diet. You know how they're from J Street, there's 2 lanes, they're actually doing a road diet where it's gonna be only 1 lane each way, so. Because our side, actually, we are just doing 1 lane, so they're actually kind of matching what we have, so.
Okay.
But yeah.
So, yeah, we have already had this discussion with, City of Mountain View. They also did express that they would be open to, redoing Jardine from Alicia all the way out.
Yeah.
For the section that the road is.
That's
we really do.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. All right, well, other than the GIS being wrong and that impacting the budget, those sound like productive conversations with Mountain View, so
Yeah,
that's positive.
Mountain View has been wanting to work with us.
Yeah.
And, even their, traffic manager has already reached out to me saying, hey, we need to start coordinating more projects. So the conversation's already being
Well
had
done.
at the staff level.
Yeah. Okay,
In
great,
fact, I've already started having some discussion with the city of Cupertino as well.
awesome.
Exactly.
And I mean, likewise, if there's anything that is helpful for us to, learn and discuss about Cupertino impacting projects or Cupertino projects that are impacting Los Altos, or just ways that we can work together, that's great too. Yeah, keep us in the loop. That's awesome. And yeah, just looking hard at the El Monte corridor.
Yeah,
which I think is
exactly. It's
What you're talking about,
on the-
so
it's on the
I'll take a
website.
look at that too. Yeah,
And then, so continue with the calendar, in May, hopefully we get the final plans on that,
Mhm.
so it's
Yep.
depending how things move.
it's
And,
possible.
and then,
Yeah.
and then if you look at our tentative schedule down there with the notes, and hopefully we get, we go construction for bids in May.
Mhm.
That's what we're hoping for. And we all settle with the final plans.
Yep.
And then construction during the summer, right?
Mhm.
And then, award in June, actually, so.
Yep.
They'll probably start July. Again, it's gonna be one of those late summer, again, which we didn't wanna do this year, but
Yep.
I don't think we have a choice. That's why we wanted to get the, the design earlier this year, get a proposal, get a design. And then maybe, if you look at our notes again, in June, we could award the design
Mhm.
also
Mhm.
for next year's.
Yeah.
So we could have the,
Yeah.
plans
Yeah.
in the fall, so.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the first
Right.
6 months. Again, we can fill in, well, as soon as we get more agenda items up in there.
What were you saying, Steve?
Yeah.
Award the design for what, Art?
Oh, for next year, award the design for next year's. You see how this kind of works? If you look at my notes in the bottom to kind of discuss to the staff, for 25-26, we're gonna try to set up a proposal for that in April. For the annual street, and then
So it's
award in June, right? And then hopefully we get some design in fall, and then we're ready to roll, and then go to, bids for construction earlier. Then what do we have? We're doing in May, then we're gonna do earlier in the year, next year.
Yeah, okay.
So we have that lined up, so
Good.
we have the list, which makes it easier, because Stephen had to work on the list.
Yeah.
And then we still got approved by you guys, so, but now we have a list, it'll be easier to just send it out,
Totally.
get proposals and get design.
So based on just a ballpark estimate on the calendar,
Yeah.
in what month do we actually have to commit the funding for San Antonio, where we're actually hiring people to do the full
There is
design?
there is no timeline, we have to just get it done by end of this year. But we're trying to get it done sooner than later, because we wanna get this project started.
And then when that funding is committed, does that automatically come out of the grant funds?
So when they talk, hold on, sorry, I was just writing this.
Yeah.
When, the way the grant fund works is this, the federal government, guarantees that they'll refund us the money that we expend. So we have to spend the money, then we have to invoice them within 30 days. And then once we invoice them, they can take up to 2 months for us to be reimbursed. So it's just a pass-through for us.
And what happens when government efficiency decides that we're not gonna pay the check?
Or that we're on the hook. But again, when you basically get the authorization to go ahead and proceed with the work, that is their commitment to say, we're gonna pay for this.
Yeah. I think there'd probably be a lawsuit at that point, yeah.
Yeah, because this is a commitment that has already been.
Doesn't seem to stop people right now.
Oh, no, yeah, you asked what happened, yeah.
Last night's meeting, the mayor said that we lost funding for something, when I say we, the city, but I didn't remember I don't recall if he said which part of that it was.
No, you basically said we lost 7.5 million.
Was that for us, or was that part of some other part of the city?
I think he's referring to, the San Antonio,
Oh,
because that's the only one that has a 7.5 million grant.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's gonna happen with that then? Can we get that back or somehow?
We were just talking about that. That's what we opened with.
Oh, I didn't
Oh.
tie it to what the mayor was saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, yeah. It's Stephen's impression that we didn't actually lose the grant.
Yeah, no, this is something that I've been very passionate about.
Yeah.
So I've been asking anybody who's willing to listen to my question, both at state level, both at Caltrans, both at FHWA, and as well as our APWA representative in Washington DC. They're the one who does the policies. And every one of them is informing me that, no, your funding is secure, you don't have to worry about it, just hurry up and get it committed.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what we're trying to do right now.
That scares me to no end.
Honestly, this is not something new for us.
Okay.
This is not the first time that, administrators have done this.
Yeah.
It has happened in the past, historically.
And did they come through eventually on those times?
Eventually, but there's a delay on when you could obligate the money.
So I think, Steve asked, at what point in time do we need to, do certain things in order to be able to,
So for San Antonio, the way it's gonna go is this. By the time we have finally get from Caltrans, all the necessary paper form all the paperwork has been approved,
Mhm.
and they said that everything's fine.
Mhm.
That's when the 2 month clock starts, where the federal government will take up 2 months to basically go through the process of obligating the fund.
Yeah.
Once the obligation done, then once the obligation is done, then that's the federal government's guarantee that any money we expend, we will be reimbursed.
Mhm.
Right. So what I'm thinking about is that before that process gets to that point, there has to be some type of community review of what is planned, right?
Yes and no. Before we even get to that point, where we have pencil to paper, if, I don't know if everybody knows what that means, but before we get to that point, we're still looking about 8 months out. Because time-wise, you have 2 months lag, we have 3 months lag after that, because we have to go out to hire a consultant. Once we select the consultant, then we have to go to council, because the amount of money is exceeding what we could authorize with our council approval. We go to council, then we finalize the negotiation of our contract, get the consultant to execute the contract. Then we sit down and start talking about the project. So to do that, the fastest we could go is 5 to 6 months. That's why I said, well, I don't see this happening until about August.
That's why I didn't put it on the calendar, because it's just still up in the air.
If we could go faster, I would love to go
Yeah,
faster.
if we knew, I would have put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
So what you're basically saying is those community meetings, the earliest they could start is in Q3,
Probably Q4
probably Q4.
is more realistic.
Thank you. Because that allows us to kind of think about, where it is in the year, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, you're probably looking at October, November. I mean, if the commissioner would like, we could have an open discussion about all the nuance of this design. Just to have a general idea of what the community is wanting. So that we have a general idea of what we're gonna tell our consultant to do. What I'm telling the Caltrans as well as Federal Highway Administration is, the design of this road, we're not leaving any options, off the table.
Mhm.
We're gonna look at we're gonna look at all the options to determine what is the best and safest approach we could take with San
Great.
Antonio, given the fact that there's some challenges. We have a fire station there. San Antonio is also a safe route to school. We have a high school close by. We have, elementary and middle school off the road. There is, Main Street, Edith, San Antonio, the way that comes in, it comes in a very odd angle, so we need to really analyze that. We're gonna go through each intersection and say, okay, is, what we have there correct, or do we need to upgrade so that we're providing public safety? Keep in mind, the whole point of the grant is to put a protected bike lane. That's how we got the money, so that's gonna be a very key feature of this project that we need to implement.
Yeah.
I know, and this is not the time to talk about it, but, in the back of my mind, what I'm thinking about is that when that happens eventually, that's gonna really change the way the kids cycle to the high school from the south side, right? Both south, where they're coming in all kinds of convoluted ways. That'll kind of streamline it. And so there'll be so much more bike traffic, because today there's very little, going on San Antonio to the high school from the south.
From the south, okay. I was gonna say, from the north, it seems like there's a lot.
From the south.
Yeah.
And because I live close to there, and so I see,
Los Altos Hills then.
Yeah.
You talking from Los Altos Hills or from Mountain?
no, so from the El Camino side going up San Antonio to the high school, the kids right now are not, the vast majority are not coming up San Antonio today, because it's not, they don't think it's safe, right? So they take other routes, right? They cut over on Marriage, and they come up through the feeder streets to get to the high school. They're not,
When I look down the office, I see a lot of kids taking San Antonio.
Interesting.
I mean, it may be the time I'm looking, but I do see a lot of kids. I do see a lot of kids walking there as well.
in the bike lane.
Okay, all right.
And they do utilize the bike lane, because I do.
It'd be good to actually take a look at the data,
Yeah.
because that's not what I'm hearing.
So from the neighborhoods due west of Almond, there are a few bicyclists who do come down Almond that way. But from the north, folks coming from, Egan area tend to mostly go through the back, neighborhood path, and bypass a lot of San Antonio. It's just mostly the people who are due west have to come down San Antonio.
That's what I could see. That's what I suspect. Like, as somebody who like cycles in this area, like if you're due west, then it makes sense. Okay, you'll travel to San Antonio for a block or so, right? And then turn onto Almond or turn onto whatever.
Right.
But if you're coming from north, like Egan area or Mountain View, yeah, you're gonna turn onto Portola, you're gonna turn on, you're gonna get off of San Antonio where you can, and that's why all the traffic is coming down these side streets, Panchita, Los Niños, all this stuff, right? Yeah.
If you're coming from the north on the, on the other side from the high school,
Mhm.
there's a huge amount of bike traffic that's coming up, Linden and Cherry, right? And then cutting over on Coronado, and then just going up that one block.
Right. Right, exactly. You'll have to encounter San Antonio and you'll have to traverse it for some period, but people are gonna by and large do what they can.
So the only
to
thing I'm
use these
saying is
trails.
that when that improvement happens, that's gonna really change the bike, the map.
It has the potential to do that. Yeah,
It's gonna be a major change.
it's exciting. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think at the point at which you feel like there's something that we're able to share and discuss about the state of the project and the design, that would be amazing, even, in advance of when we actually have a special meeting to bring it to the public. But yes, that sounds great.
My anticipation at this point in time, Commissioner Katz, is by Q1 of 2026, we should have a layout that we could show to the residents and start really obtaining some feedback. I'm actually expecting about a year worth of design feedback. At the same time, we're gonna be trying to go through the environmental clearance, so I'm expecting about a year. So we're probably gonna break ground, assuming everything goes right, break ground by 2027, and it's gonna take a full year for construction to complete.
Wow. Okay.
So just going back to the calendar then,
Yeah.
First 6 months, again, we'll fill in the blanks when we need to. If you have any suggestions of agenda items, let us know, let me know.
Yep.
And, we can discuss. And then the next 6 months after that, we have no meetings in July and December. And then, I don't know when you guys wanna start thinking about the next year's work plan, I guess, set up another, if you wanna set up another subcommittee for the 2026
yeah.
work plan. I
That
don't know,
makes sense.
I don't know if September's too late or too
Yeah.
early. You guys could decide on what you wanna do with that. We could move that.
What I wanted to mention, Art, in connection with that is, I would like to do it in a way that's timely to connect with the budgeting process, right? Because you guys have to come up with budgets for the projects that we work on. So it seems like slightly before that, we should be talking about what we think is important to do for the upcoming year, right? So what do you guys think about
The
how that
budget's gonna
organizes?
start in about a week.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
That's
So-
what I mean.
So should we start talking about,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, but how do you think about that in terms of like, what you're trying to budget for? If,
Plus, if this becomes a live dynamic document.
Yeah.
Then the 2026 work plan basically simply will grow right out of this one.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I mean, the other document that we have, Steve, is what we worked on, which is the resurfacing list, right? Which we have our 24-25. some of which might, you know, I mean, let's say it all happens in 24, 25. But, you know, as well, we have all the stuff that Stephen thoughtfully put together with all of us, for 25, 26, and even beyond.
Exactly.
So, hopefully this is something that we can use as you're budgeting, right? To say, this is what we expect to need funds for, and then that can be things that we work on. The one thing I want to contemplate too is, you know, Stacy had mentioned in prior meetings around, is there other work that we think the council should be paying attention to that doesn't overlap with the street resurfacing work? And it wasn't clear to me that there was a whole huge bucket of work that falls into that category, but is that something that we should at least think about? It sounds like, you know, I think we have a chance to do that. Hopefully we'll see Stacy, she can be part of that conversation. But that's something that I haven't been around for prior cycles to see. My first exercise with you guys doing this last year. But if there are other sort of like types of work that we want to think about that this commission should be considering, then that should at least be something that we pay attention to.
Well, it seems to me that if in April, staff gives the commission the, at that special meeting, we basically have that updated CIP project list, right? Which is the design. I assume that's what the design is, right? If we have that and we're all agreed on it, that basically becomes the back of the, you know, the detail back of
Yep.
this.
Yeah.
And then whatever is beyond that becomes the rest of the work plan, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. Cool. Thanks, Art, for working on the calendar too.
And then, yeah, just a heads up,
Yeah, what
you know,
else?
with the October, we usually do the election of chair, and so
Exactly.
we'll have a new chair. And then November, like what we did last year, we don't want to have it during Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So we should think about that in September,
That's fine.
right? So think about September, we can cancel it and then set up a special meeting. If you guys want to have a meeting in November.
Yep.
So that's why I put that on September, you know, cancel it.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to stay there. Thanksgiving week, so.
So the only thing I'd ask
Might not
for-
make quorum.
Exactly.
The only thing I'd ask, I think we all understand that.
Yeah.
Is that in terms of the potential for an April special meeting, the earliest that you would be able to know whether that's required,
Yeah.
if you give us a heads
I'll
up.
definitely, I'll do
Some
that.
of us have.
Yes.
plans.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely at least, you know,
As soon as we find out,
Yeah, exactly.
we will let you know.
and then I will set up, you know, a meeting where everybody could, you know, we'll set up a good, I gotta look at the calendar too, because, you know, we gotta reserve the room. So I gotta make sure it is available or one of these rooms in here, so, but yeah, we'll definitely let you guys know. And that's pretty much what, you know, the calendar again.
That's
We could,
2025.
again, we could start filling these out, you know,
Yeah.
as soon as we, you know, we got something, and, you know, I could keep sharing it, so we have an
Yeah.
updated one.
Totally.
Yes.
So, one question is, it's on here is e-bike ordinance.
Well, remember, that's when Steven brought up the areas.
Right, and so we had three different choices there.
Right.
And so I was wondering if there was any more,
I'm currently writing the staff report for hopefully Martin, because of this whole, you know, parking restriction has been consuming a lot of my time.
Of course.
Right now, I was on the schedule for March 11th, but I missed that deadline because this, we had to present last night. So right now, it's tentatively set for March 25th to go before council on adoption of the e-bike ordinance for downtown, as directed by.
so did we decide on which of those three different areas it's gonna be?
It was gonna be on Main Street and
Right.
State Street from
But there was three different areas.
yeah, so the direction I got from, the commissioners is the fact that you guys only wanted on two streets, which is Main Street and State Street, from First all the way to San Antonio.
That's what I recall too, but I didn't know if we actually finalized that. Do we actually vote on that?
Yes, we did. So that is, that's
Last month.
I know it was last month. We had that.
yeah, so because of that, that's how my staff
Okay.
report is currently being written
Yeah.
for council.
All right,
And
thank
we're
you.
in the process of preparing, resolution, also,
And I think one of the suggestions with Stacy is anything we bring back to you guys is, definitely give us, a recommendation or whatever. I think that was the one thing that she wanted, make sure that you give us the direction that you guys, you know what I mean, the recommendation. So before we end any items, make sure, you let us know, that's what we want, that's what, that's what we're
Yeah.
recommending, right?
Totally, totally.
And that's what, I think Stacy brought that up, last time, so.
Yep. Cool. One other question I had, I'm just looking at the specific projects that we have in the work plan. Wayfinder maps and signage is one of the things that we were talking about, exploring more. I have noticed making our way around Los Altos, that we do have some signs in parts of town, saying that it's a bike route. Do you guys know anything about the history of that or where those are specifically, or does the city keep track of that in any way? Just kind of out there.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
I mean, it must be like official city signage,
Right.
right?
Like Bike Boulevard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a couple
I think I've seen it on
places.
Los Altos Avenue.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
there's Bike Boulevard, I think there's a
Yep.
couple places, but again, it's part of the Complete Streets Master Plan, right?
Yeah, totally.
It does suggest Bike Boulevards, in particular streets,
Yep.
so, but yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
They're out there. We don't know much about
The
where,
history.
who they are or why they're there or anything. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Again, you got different staff,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know.
Turnover.
Yeah,
You got different ideas, so it's,
yeah, for
that's
sure.
what happens.
No, it's probably, I'm guessing a few staffs ago were putting that up, but yeah, I was just curious if it was anything that the city had any, idea about. Maybe we can just have, as a commission, we'll go out there and see if we can
Because
find
like
out.
Los Altos
what all
has,
those are.
it's called Cycle Track, right?
Yeah.
They have a sign that says Cycle Track, so.
Yeah,
there's different-
exactly.
There's different signs up there.
Yeah, so, okay, cool, because that's something that I would like to explore too, like, and we can tie that into specific, I think, new safe route to school work that we do, and as we're trying to implement the Complete Streets Master Plan, maybe around the intersections where we do work, because I think we saw that with Jardine last year where, I think it could be helpful if we're sort of like feeding or funneling folks into like one or two of the specific off streets that go onto Jardine. That could create some more order or a feeling of safety, or route folks onto routes that we actually think are safer, right? Like, I think there's good reason to think that helps you. As a cyclist, I sometimes see, those routes designated and, that, sort of sometimes incentivizes you to take those routes, and, you often get the feeling that they're there for a reason and they are safer, quieter neighborhood streets where they have some traffic calming measures or whatever, what have you. I would like to definitely make sure we can, doesn't sound like there's any organized, understanding of where those are today, but, maybe we could look at, just incorporating that into the safe routes.
Yeah, on the complete streets, there is like,
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
a recommendation of the bike routes and the
Yeah,
main bike routes.
totally.
For that, so.
Yeah, we
I
totally
think I think Bike Loop was one of the things
Yeah.
that was on there, I recommended,
Yeah.
again, when we do these streets.
Yep.
We could, try to implement that.
Awesome, cool. Downtown stuff. I know, Stephen, you're working on the e-bike ordinance, so that'll be great. We had talked about traffic calming for downtown, speed limit for downtown. And I know just generally, we're talking about trying to fit in a couple things along with some of the development downtown. Is there anything that's worth us sort of like foregrounding or working through in, the next couple months on any of that work?
No, at this point in time, Ames consultant.
Yeah.
We're just saying that.
AIM engineering.
AIM
Yeah.
engineer is, currently working on the design of the Main Street and State Street. We have already walked through the various streets
Mhm.
and determined what is it that we want to see.
Mhm.
Basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and, redo those roads and then go ahead and restripe it to maximize the number of parking space,
Mhm.
as well as implementing, additional ADA, parking stalls,
Mhm.
and mid-blocks.
Mhm.
Most of them is gonna be on Main Street. State Street is too narrow for us to go ahead and implement ADA stalls.
Okay.
So, all those has already been identified. I already received a 30% design from, Ames. I'm trying to go ahead and review those so that hopefully I can give her back feedback fast enough so that we can try to expedite this as fast as possible.
Okay. All right, great.
And then we're gonna bring those plans, when we get to 65, we show you the plans, we'll review it, we'll
Awesome.
provide comments and stuff like that.
Is there anything for downtown on the calendar, Art, calendar?
Well, I think
Yeah.
what I did, we're putting the annual street resurfacing
This is
all
like
together.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
the mill
cool.
overlay, and, so we wouldn't have to have that many meetings, right?
Yeah.
Put it all in one.
No, yeah, I'm not suggesting a separate meeting.
So that's what
separate agenda.
We're trying to get it all in
Yeah,
one, we're trying to get both,
No.
both consultants, try to get all
Yeah,
the plans,
absolutely.
so we can show it all at once.
When I think of the street resurfacing, I'm just thinking of what's on here.
No, that's the mill overlay.
Okay,
Right,
okay.
and then the other one is just the microsurfacing, so I'm still thinking it's a street.
Yeah,
resurfacing.
yeah, no, sounds fine to me,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I just, yeah,
Just to let you know, probably in March, maybe, we may be coming, or I may be requesting an agenda item to go over the design from Harris regarding the downtown parking lot 4, 5, and 6
nice, in March.
in March.
Okay,
We
great.
have already received the first submittal. We gave feedback and we have asked them to provide additional options for those parking lots.
Amazing. I mean, I'm sure that's gonna go to city council, but, we can talk through
No,
what the commission can have input on.
We
Yeah,
would like to have the commission's input.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're also gonna be asking the public for their input.
Yeah.
As well as the downtown coalition for their input as well.
great.
So that's for 4, 5, and 6.
Starting to get excited.
Right,
We're gonna have an
between
active
Main Street
2025.
and Main Street.
I was thinking we might not have anything to work
There's a
on.
lot
I think
of
we're gonna have a
stuff
lot to work on. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
There's years of a maintenance that has been done by previous staff.
Yeah, totally. So I think we're gonna get into some good stuff here, guys. Okay, cool. And on that one, I think, we had talked about, bike parking in appropriate places to sort of really align with, if we're gonna ask folks to not be on the sidewalk, let's have some bike parking spaces for folks.
Art and I were.
We're actually,
We're just talking about this,
we're
yeah.
actually out there this morning, looking for locations for these bike lockers and, bike racks.
Yeah, exactly.
With,
What do
with
you
the,
think?
with the assistant, to the city manager.
Yeah.
We are looking, again,
Love
we're gonna implement that to all these things, so
We're
you'll
also-
see,
We're also
Like it.
putting in an e-bike locker as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
where you could charge your,
That's great. And you guys had talked about fitting that into kind of like the daylighting
It's
that's
happening.
happening too, right?
Can they,
The end of the
can
intersection.
you guys plug into the ones the cars use too?
I don't know how the e-bikes work.
You can't do that.
They just have an outlet, a normal
Yeah, so
plug.
The
Yeah,
way this e-bike, locker works is that you actually connect to power source, so when you park a bike, from what I understand, when you, put your bike in the bike locker, there is a connector that you can put to your bike, so you can charge while still in the locker.
And there is a financial charge for, using that?
That's outside my PD.
Yeah.
I just build it.
yeah.
It's up to the city manager's
I
office.
think-
City manager's office.
I think the EV chargers downtown in the parking lots charge.
They do charge, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do charge. There's
Yeah.
nothing free, right?
It's,
Can they
it's through
that
charge
here?
point.
You got
Yeah,
like a dozen out here.
Which one?
Like
The
a
ones out
charge-
here. Yeah.
There's like a dozen of them out there.
Yeah, I think they
That's
charge-
through charge point as well.
Yeah, you gotta charge it.
They charge money for those?
I think they charge, yeah.
I think they're charging.
Free lunch,
There's nothing
I
that's
think
free.
it's
There's
like
no
15
free.
cents a kilowatt.
I think it's
I
free.
guess that's how much that was charged by somebody I know parked their charge.
There we go.
Nothing's for
Yeah.
free.
Okay,
Sorry,
cool.
Tom.
Advice with you.
Let's see,
Okay, thanks.
Anything new on the radar survey? Still just working it?
Still waiting for direction from the police department.
Okay, awesome. And you guys have talked about the CIP project list. I think that's just ongoing, but
You know, it was interesting, the meeting yesterday where they were talking about, they want to have the police enforce a lot of the violations and things, but last time we talked to the police, they were like, we don't have the manpower.
Well,
Yeah.
But nobody really kind of put
well,
those two together.
there was an
Well,
item
well, they-
last
well,
night
they
that they're
do-
gonna hire somebody.
Well, they
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
have one, there are hiring openings.
But they were,
realistically, it's a double-edged sword. We've got to be very careful because right now they're saying that we're not enforcing it. When we start enforcing it, we're still gonna get pushbacks saying you're enforcing it too much.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, people are gonna complain.
So that's why I mean, it's a double-edged sword, so.
but we also, they said too that they didn't have, we didn't have there's a couple of openings, we didn't have the manpower.
They don't have the manpower, right now, we're in the process of negotiating with a third party
That's what
to
you're
help us
saying.
implement.
Yeah,
That's really something, but how would that work if they're not police? I mean, is it a private company that
They're a private company that we have to provide,
Like a
some
deputy?
policing action.
Deputized.
deputize?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to allow them to
Yeah.
issue the parking permits, I mean, the parking tickets. If there is actually, how do I say, it, law enforcement that needs to be done, they would actually call the police to have them come and take. it.
They can write a ticket.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But their scope is gonna be very narrow. They're not gonna be able to do enforcement action, just ticketing.
What do you mean, if it's, I mean, typically you'll write the ticket, even the police would just write the ticket, and then you would have to, they'd have to.
What I mean by that is the third parties only, their sole responsibility is to issue the parking ticket.
Right.
That's it. They cannot do any enforcement. So if they see a crime, they cannot participate in trying to resolve that crime. They have to call the police to have a licensed, sworn officer to come and take action.
Okay, I'm not, it's some kind of crime. I
So
mean,
I'm
like
just saying-
speeding or something else,
Yeah,
pulling a
legally.
turn, or hit and run.
Yeah, they cannot take any action.
Moving violations.
No.
Yeah. Makes
Because those
sense.
has to be done by a sworn officer.
Yeah,
Which it makes sense you'd want to have folks around for enforcement of that too. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Anything on, traffic calming or AB 43? That's something we wanted to work on this year too, right?
We are still trying to get direction
Okay, from council or just internally?
internal.
Okay, all right, cool. Keep working on that too then. Awesome. I think that's everything that I saw that we wanted to talk about today on the work plan and on the calendar. Thanks, Art, for putting that together. Let's see. What am I actually specifically talking? Does anyone else have, informational items for tonight? Anything to share? Commissioner reports? Anything that we want to have as a potential future agenda item?
As you can see, I put, we are
Yes,
gonna have
county one.
the county, yeah, the county is coming for a presentation.
County coming next month, that's gonna be awesome. I was just looking up, Santa Clara County Active Transportation Plan. That's really cool. That'll be awesome. So thank you guys for putting that together.
I have a suggestion for a future agenda item or two, and it's not time critical. It would be really educational for me to understand what's happening technology-wise in terms of innovations around traffic calming. What works and what doesn't work. And if staff has a resource, talk about that, I think that'd be great, especially when we think about, you talked about Springer Road, for example. Do the signs that basically say you're going 35 and at 25, hypothetically slow down, do those work? That's an obvious example, right? Do visible speed cameras work? What technologies are there that are cost effective and actually do work for calming traffic besides putting obstacles in a road like speed bumps or speed tables and things like that?
Yeah.
So that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be nice. Tony, you had something.
Yeah, I would point out that those, nice signs that tell you how fast you're going cause some people to speed up.
yeah, they do.
I have my
Crazy.
rhetorical comment regarding those, but I'll keep it to myself.
Okay.
But realistically, it does work for a short period of time.
Really? Okay.
Okay, interesting.
Supposedly what works is a fake police car too.
We'll discuss this
Not-
matter.
not-
We will discuss this matter when we bring this item as an agenda.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or even a radar gun that goes off that is over the.
Yeah, because I think we've seen some traffic calming measures that are well intended that haven't always worked out well. So it's a good discussion to have. Think about Cuesta Drive, where I think we had a few bites at the apple. The city did, and the first few didn't totally work. And it's not clear to me the ones that are currently there are 100% effective. So especially with an eye towards, it would be nice to feel like we just got like the state of the art, best possible traffic calming for like San Antonio.
One of the new technologies they do have, is the license plate readers,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they don't capture the speeding. They just, they help prevent, or not prevent, but, they've helped solve some crimes.
Yeah, I wasn't planning to have the meeting now, but.
Yeah,
No,
talking about, yeah, in the future, yeah, absolutely. Fair, Steve. Yeah, for sure. No, it's worth agenda, I think. Thank you. Okay. Does anybody else have anything else for tonight? I think we can adjourn.
All right, that's all we got.
We've got 7:42.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you guys have anything for tonight?
Someone's trying to get a badge?
He had some discussion about his biking experience with street interactions and safety. He goes to CMS. I actually think most of those roads are sunny,
Okay.
except for maybe
Top part of Homestead.
Homestead, as it comes along, there's just a lot of. Do you want to discuss it? All right, that's.
If you like, you are more than welcome to.
You're welcome to, yeah.
Come on, this is your civic,
This is your chance.
Yeah,
this is how
on the podium.
You're like 3 feet away.
this is how you're gonna
Yeah.
get your civic badge.
Yep.
Just go talk about it. Talk about what.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Tell us your
I think
experience,
we're-
yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I am Charlie Torrington of Troop 30, a Boy Scout troop in Los Altos. And I'm here to talk about, so the top part of the road on Homestead, coming down to CMS where I go, and then falling all the way up to Homestead High School, which is Sunnyvale boundaries, I'm pretty sure. There's a merge lane, coming from, I think it's Belleville Road connecting to Homestead, where the merge lane into the main lane from the right-hand turn from Belleville to Homestead, the bike lane is quite thin over there, and there's no buffer, and it is dangerous for if you're a bike person following either the bike lane and following the traffic lights or following the crosswalk, which after that the traffic lights are calibrated so that the right-hand turn is right after, and so the car has to merge while the bike is going around the corner near the apartments. I'm wondering if that's in Los Altos.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what? I commend you for coming to us.
Exactly.
Just kind of give you an idea, right now, the VTA is currently working on an overall project to improve the bike lane and sidewalk along Homestead to get to Homestead High School. This is an ongoing project that they've been working on for a while now. They're about 35% completed on their design. They're hoping that they could secure additional funding, about $16 million, so that they could actually go and finish the design and actually implement the necessary modification so that it fills the sidewalk gap that is currently existing out there, as well as widen the existing sidewalk, and at the same time make the bike path more uniform and wider and with some sort of buffer. So they're still working on that. It's just taking a lot longer than we'd like. But like I said, I commend you for coming up here.
Yeah.
And letting us know. And at any point in time, please come on up. You're more than welcome to come and listen and tell us what you're experiencing out there, because we can't be out there all over the place.
I appreciate your patience to listen to this and the work that you do, which is essential to the city. And we appreciate your focus on safety for all modes, bike and roads, right?
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for, being an active, sort of cyclist and pedestrian and trying to be safe out there and bring things to our attention too. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
And what time we're adjourned?
We've got 7:25. We can, Tony has something.
Oh, Tony.
Yeah,
Per Google Maps.
yeah, I was looking at it.
I don't trust it, but
Yeah.
Belleville and Homestead looks to be in Sunnyvale, not Los Altos.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
But the project that we're talking about,
We are aware of the project. Yeah, 100%.
no, it's,
And this project comes up quite a bit, Homestead project. Yeah, it impacts Los Altos. Yeah.
just to let you know, this is, the project that I just mentioned, the Homestead, project is multi-jurisdictional.
Yeah.
So it goes it goes to Los Altos, it goes to, the County of Santa Clara, it goes to Sunnyvale, and it goes to Cupertino. So it's a
We're
major
involved.
connection we're trying to get
Yep.
Exactly.
constructed.
We want it to be completed. 7:26, 7:27.
7:26.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
Yeah,
for coming
thank you
out.
for coming. Yeah, really.
Come on by anytime.
Yeah.